In this video, we'll be going over how to work out the problems from the Chapter 3 test on systems of equations. That way, those of you that scored below 70 may retake the test to try to get a higher score. So here on this question, they graphed a system of equations and they want to know the solution. Well, remember, the solution is the point of intersection. So here we're trying to see where the two graphs intersect. That would be right here. Remember, when you're doing an ordered pair, you give the x first and the y. So the x here is at 4 and the y is at 2. A lot of students just flip those and put 2, 4 as the answer when it should have been 4, 2. In this next question, it's saying if you solve this graphically, which system will have exactly one point of intersection? Well, for them to intersect, they have to have different slopes. So you need to be looking for lines that have different slopes. So if you look at A, this one has a slope of -1. This one has a slope of +1. Those are different, so this will be the correct answer. Let's go ahead and look at the other ones. Here we have 0.5 and 0.5. Same slope. If they're the same slope, they're going to be parallel lines. And parallel lines don't intersect. Here 3/5 and 0.6 are the same, because if you change 3/5 to a decimal, it's also 0.6. So all these last three, they actually had the same slope. So all of those had parallel lines which never intersect and would actually have no solution on a graph. On this next question, they want us to solve. Here, since one of them has y equals, we're going to be using the substitution method. So we're going to be substituting x plus 6 into this y right here. So it becomes x plus 6 equals 4. If we combine like terms, that becomes 2x plus 6 equals 4. And we can continue solving for x there. So for x, we're going to get -1 as our solution. The only answer choice that has a -1 in the x is C. A lot of students here wanted to put B, where they flipped the actual answers. So now remember, when you have an ordered pair, again, it's always x first, then y. If you wanted to find the answer for y, you would plug this back into the original problem. So it would become y equals -1 plus 6, or y equals 5. This next problem, we're also going to use substitution. It starts with x equals. So we're going to plug -3y into this x right here. So it becomes -3y plus 4y equals 8. If you combine like terms, we get 1y equals 8. And if we divide by 1, we get y equals 8. The only answer choice that had 8 in the y was D. Again, some students put C, but that was in the wrong order. Now, if you wanted to get x, you could plug this back in. So x equals -3 times 8, which comes out to -24. On the next question, we're going to use substitution. So I'm not going to use the top equation because that has a -y. I'm going to use the bottom. It has y equals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug -x plus 1 into this y over here. So it becomes negative. For y, I'm changing it to -x plus 1 equals 2x plus 3. My next step would be to distribute. So I'm going to put imaginary 1 here. So that becomes a positive 1x minus 1 equals 2x plus 3. Here I have x's on both sides. I need to undo 1, so I'm going to get rid of the 1x. And then I can continue solving. So I get -4 equals 1x, or -4 equals x. Now, some students put -4 as the answer here, and that's why they got it incorrect. Because they saw -4, wanted to put it. But this particular question was asking for the y. So we actually need to plug our answer back in to get the y value. So I'm going to use this equation now, y equals And I'm going to plug in negative 4 for x. So that becomes a positive 4 plus 1 or 5. So my answer for y was y equals 5. So just make sure that you're always reading carefully. A lot of students didn't read carefully here, and that's why they got the question wrong. On this next one, these are both in standard form, so instead of substitution, we're going to be using the elimination method. If you look at the y's on this one, negative y plus y will cancel or eliminate. So now I can combine. So I get 3x equals 12. If I divide by 3, my answer for x is 4. So I can cross out C and D. I'm going to take this answer and plug it back into one of the original equations. I'm just going to use the bottom one. So I have x plus y equals 2. I can plug in 4 for x, and then if I solve for y, I get negative 2. So my answer is 4, negative 2. This next one, I can also use elimination. Here, negative 2y and positive 2y eliminate because it's 0. So now if I combine, I get 6x equals 24. And if I divide by 6, x equals positive 4. The only answer choice that had that was C. You'll notice B flipped where the x was at. If you wanted to get the y, you would plug this back into one of the original problems. I'm going to use the bottom one. Remember, it's up to you. You can also use the top one. So I'm plugging 4 in for x. And I can continue to solve there. So I'll get y equals negative 4. So my point here is 4, negative 4. The next problem is also elimination, but right now they're not going to eliminate because 2x plus 2x is 4, not 0. So what I need to do on the bottom equation is change all the signs. So it's actually going to become negative 2x minus y equals positive 2. The top equation I'm keeping the same. Now the x's will eliminate because 2 minus 2 is 0. And I get 2y equals 8. So if I'm solving for y, my answer is 4. Some students put 4, but if you read carefully, this one wants the value of x. So I'm going to plug this back in. I'm going to use my top one this time. And I'm going to plug 4 into my y. So my answer for x is a negative 3. So the correct answer here was D. Again, make sure you read carefully because a lot of the problems here just came down to reading. Some students got one answer, wanted to put it, they didn't read if it was asking for x or y, or they swapped the x and the y coordinate if it wanted a whole point. Here on this next problem, I'm going to have to multiply first. So my first one's a 6x. I can make the bottom one negative 6x if I multiply everything by 6. So it's going to become negative 6x plus 12y equals 72. My top equation, I'm keeping the same. Now my x's cancel. I get 16y equals 80, and I can divide by 16, and my y will equal positive 5. The only answer choice with a positive 5 in the y was C. Now, if you wanted to find x, you would plug this back into one of the original equations. I'm going to use the top one. So I'm going to plug my answer 5 into y. 4 times 5 is 20, and I can continue to solve for x there. So for x, I get negative 2. So my final answer is negative 2, 5. This next problem, I'm also going to use elimination. But if you look carefully, right now nothing cancels. So we're also going to have to multiply. I can multiply my bottom equation times 2. And that'll give me 2x plus 2y equals 8. My top equation right now is 2x plus 3y equals 8. So now my x's both have a 2, But right now they still don't cancel because 2 plus 2 is 4, not 0. So I'm actually going to have to change the signs on the bottom one. So I'm going to make this a negative 2x, a negative 2y, and a negative 8. 3 minus 2 is 1y. And 8 minus 8 is 0. So for y, I get 0. The only answer choice that has that is C. Now, if you wanted to get the x, you could plug that back into one of the original problems. I'm going to plug that in here. So I'm going to plug in 0 for my y. And then we get x equals 4. So my coordinate would be 4, 0. These last two problems were bonus problems, so I'm not going to go over them. But the students that did get them correct on the test, they added 10 points to your score for each problem correct.